hiding in the car because this is how I film when I need somewhere quiet and I can't really have a place in my house. I'm rambling. Okay, so I just filmed and uploaded a money management video for today, kind of expounding on how we're working as a family going ahead in things like what's going to happen a year from now and how we're going to prepare for that. One of the things that I talked about, I'm already kind of anticipating the comments in my head. So there have been no comments made. This is just my personality that tends to think of things that possibly could come up and have a response even if nobody ever does it. But this is also the type of video that I would really be encouraged by, that I am really inspired by. And so I'm going to make that video. Okay? Alright, so after I filmed that video, I went to our mortgage and I wrote down the amount of what we still owe on the mortgage, and I kind of created a little spreadsheet for myself. So we bought our house for $88,000. We currently owe $39,423 on it. And that's after we pay the extra closing costs, and oh, I have numbers on the back here, but whatever. After we pay the extra closing cost and all of that, and then refinance and blah, 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 blah. Okay. One of the things that I anticipate in my head is, why are you so adamant about paying down your house? Yes, we can't predict future. We can't predict anything, but I can understand that, look, my husband is going to be 55 years old next year. We have a family. I have kids growing. With that comes more costs, just basic costs like car insurance. They buy their own cars. I'm not paying for their college if they want to do college. That's all on their own, but there's things that we would participate in paying for. For example, car insurance. We will probably split that with them. The reason that they're getting a car is so that they can go get a job. But one of the perks of them having a license is that I can send them to the grocery store. I can send them to do errands, and I don't have to leave the house. So there's a perk in there that's also for me, and they're under my household. They're under my roof. And so my husband and I are really like, hey, if you want the privilege of driving the car and getting a job, you're also getting the responsibility of paying for it, like their cell phones. So these are also things that I think of when it comes to costs. Like, I just earned $625 for a week hauling Amish. That was like, I cried after I got paid. I have never been paid so much in my life. It was so wonderful. And then reality hit, because you turn around and we paid for my daughter's class, driving school class, and that took up pretty much way more than half. Took up a huge bulk of that. And then I had to pay kids for helping me that week when I needed some extra help. So it's amazing how quickly that dwindles. But my point being, like, there's huge costs that are upcoming. So in the mortgage payment, I'm also anticipating different things like, hey, if we pay off the mortgage, why am I so particular about this? If we pay off the mortgage, I grew up on a Christian message board, and I got to see lots of prayer requests from pastors' wives just trying to make ends meet, praying that things would just go. The more conservative you are as a Christian, the harder it is just to do life. And I suspect that's going to be the case. Also, too, my husband's older, and getting the good jobs is just not feasible. We're also in a time in our nation where things are just very expensive, okay? So there's all of this stuff always going in my head. Always, 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 always. Kids are growing up. I have 2 daughters. Typically, daughters pay for the parents of the daughters pay for their wedding. I'm going to have 2 weddings to pay for. I don't know how, I don't know how long our van's going to last. I mean, it's already at, I think it's 185,000 miles on here. It's a good car. I suspect it will get plenty of more. But I don't know. These are things that I think about. And I think about the fact that, okay, if the mortgage is paid off, that money, if you're not spending it frivolously, but you're putting it aside and kind of building that nest egg up for things like this, like there's a little bit more breathe room. Like, okay, I can't put anything into savings right now because I have to buy groceries, versus I don't have a mortgage payment. And so what I've been paying into the mortgage is now being put into this account so that when these come up, I have money for it. And then again, thinking about ahead, I'm also thinking, okay, circumstances could be different. I don't know what our housing situation is going to be like. It would be lovely to be able to buy a house completely cash so that whatever we do have coming in, we can make sure that we're sustaining ourselves well. Wouldn't that be nice not to have a mortgage? But if that doesn't happen because housing prices are so high, and where we could end up could have higher housing prices, it would be really nice to be able to keep the mortgage down to the bare minimum of what we've been able to do so far. And that's why I keep pushing the mortgage thing. I'm not thinking about, okay, we are able to do it now, why don't we just maintain this? No, I think about 10 years from now, can I still maintain that? If my husband at 65, at 10 years from now, can't do this kind of work and is trying to find work that he can do while being out of work, what possible solution is there right now? These are the things that I think about. And so paying off the mortgage, I decided to go to, I want to say it's amortization calculator. Amortization calculator. Feels like something like that. But you can find it online. You can go in there. You can put in your mortgage amount, your interest rate, and the year, how many years that you have a mortgage loan for. So you can get the 30-year loan or the 15-year loan and so on and so forth. We have a 15-year loan. What we've been doing is paying double on the principal, which would reduce our 15-year loan down to about 7 years. If everything goes well. If everything goes well. So, this does not include that at all. This is just my 30-year loan. And I was like, you know what? Out of curiosity, how much interest would you pay on a 15-year loan on this? And this doesn't include the interest that we've already paid. I calculated that in 5 years, we would have paid $4,731. That $4,000 I would like to have in my pocket. I could really use that money. Okay, that's just reducing 5 years off of the 15-year mortgage. What could you do for $5,000? $5,000 at this point is a pretty good chunk of money into another vehicle if we need it. There's so much more. I went over to here. This is what all these numbers are. I was like, okay, if I was able to do what I did all those years before, we would be coming up on 10 years ago now. I do not think this is even possible now, but we don't know. If I was able to do what I was able to do 10 years ago, which was do enough side hustles, that this did not even include babysitting. If I was able to do enough side hustles that would make it possible for me to put $500 down into the mortgage every single month, in 3 years, $500 extra a month, in 3 years, I could pay off $18,000 of our mortgage. If we maintain the extra that we're able to put on, which is an extra $231 a month that we've just been doing. So Our mortgage payment's $269 and change. We pay, I just remember I gotta pay the mortgage. Yikes! Every month, I pay $500 on our mortgage from the checking account. That's just what we've done our entire marriage. Whatever the mortgage payment was, we have always paid $500. When we had a higher interest rate at the little house in California, it was only $60 extra per month on principal. Didn't matter. It's what we did. And we've done that ever since then. We've just done $500 is what we pay on mortgage. One video asked how we were able to get our mortgage so cheap. We do not purchase houses that we are approved for. We purchase housing on what we know we can afford. So like this house behind me wasn't the one that I particularly wanted. However, it was the only one that was within the budget that my husband wanted to stay under. So, and it was a fantastic thing. If we had gone with what I wanted, we would have had a much higher mortgage thing to deal with. It's, you know, God doing this to me and putting wisdom on his shoulder, which I did not have. But my point being, that's how we were able to keep a low mortgage. We've never gone with what we are approved of. We have always gone with, okay, if we buy this house and we have this down payment on it, or private mortgage insurance, which is what we had with our first house because we didn't have enough as a down payment, what does that monthly cost look like? Okay, we can't afford that. Well, you're approved of. It doesn't matter. We can't afford that. And that's how we've always done it. So, if we continue only to just pay that extra that we've got in 3 years, it works out to about $231 a month, and that does fluctuate because of principal, but I was not going to be able to figure that out. So I just based it off of the first amount. So this is a little bit more than what I'm giving you, but it's roughly this amount. Just keeping going on what we're doing now, in 3 years, we'll have paid an extra $8,000 on our mortgage. $8,316. That's just within 3 years. If I was able to combine the extra $500 a month plus what my husband is already doing from his checking account, combined, we could have paid off $26,316 of this mortgage. We would still owe approximately $13,107. Okay, what does all this mean and why am I talking about it? I don't know. I'm looking for a next year. Why did I do 3 years? 3 years just seems a pretty adequate number. I don't know what it's going to be like, but I just did 3 years. But even still, even if by the next year I am only able to do a third of this, a third of this is between $8,000 and $9,000. That still brings our mortgage down to $30,000. Depending on what we would sell it for, it still makes a difference. It still saves me $1,000 in interest that I don't owe. It still pushes me that much closer, that much more towards the financial freedom that I'm working for. This is what I work for. This is why I do what I do. And this is the motivation when I fall down to keep me going back up. It's to, okay, I can't seem to get ahead. Things are overwhelming. We're trying to figure out groceries. We're trying to figure out this. We're trying to figure out that. This is that motivation. That $1,000 could be put later on. If I can't do it now, later on, it could be put back into my pocket. The $500 that I'm coming up with every month, yes, I could put that towards the family, but that doesn't save me that $1,000 later on. In the whole scheme of things, it makes sense in my mind to live a little bit harder up front in order to have a little bit of breathing room later on. And that's what all of the numbers, all of the papers, all of the inspiration, all of the figures, that's what women have been doing for centuries. To own that land, to have that egg money, to have something that's theirs that they can truly claim theirs. Until that freedom is in your hands and in your pocket, it's an indescribable sensation. Until you experience it, it just doesn't seem logical. And then it does. So that's what all this is about. That's where everything is going. This is the principles and the ideas that I try to teach my kids. It would be wonderful if by the time my sons were 18, my daughters were 18, they could buy cash with a house. Like, that is the ultimate financial thing that I would love for them to take home. Realistically, I don't know if it's possible, but it's something that I would love for them to fully, truly experience. But it starts with me illustrating it first. Okay, meals need to be made. I need to go inside. Thank you for watching today's video. I will see you in the next one.